Do you remember when ICE detained 5-year-old Liam Ramos last month in Minnesota and shipped him to the Dilley Immigration Processing Center in Texas? At the time, Liam's mother alleged that at Dilley, Liam had a fever, a stomachache, and diarrhea. And her husband told her that Dilley wasn't giving Liam any medicine. Unfortunately, Liam is far from alone in claiming a lack of appropriate medical care at Dilley. 2 days ago, Univision reported that Dilley's youngest detainee, a 2-month-old boy named Juan Nicholas, was choking on his own vomit and having respiratory issues. Last night, Juan Nicholas was rushed to the hospital with bronchitis. Congressman Joaquin Castro, who is in contact with Juan's family, says that despite at some point being deemed unresponsive, Juan was ultimately discharged and returned to Dilley. And tonight, Univision reported that Juan and his mother have been deported. Here they are speaking with Univision from the other side of the border in Mexico. This is Amalia. She is 18 months old. And prior to being brought to Dilley, her family says that she was a healthy little girl. Once inside Dilley, they say she developed a high fever that wouldn't break. She began vomiting, had diarrhea, and also struggled to breathe. Her family alleges that they visited the facility's medical clinic 8 or 9 times, but only received basic fever medication. The family also alleges that only when Amalia's blood oxygen plunged to the level of a life-threatening emergency was she taken to the hospital. After 10 days of intensive treatment, Amalia was brought back to Dilley. Her family alleges that the federal officials then denied her access to the medication doctors had prescribed her at the hospital where she was being treated, forcing her family to wait in long lines every day to request the medicine, only to be turned away. DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin denies that entire story, saying that Amalia immediately received proper medical care when she got to Dilley and that she received proper treatment and prescribed medicines after her hospitalization. CoreCivic, the private company that runs Dilley, also denies allegations of inadequate medical care and says that the health and safety of those entrusted to their care is the company's top priority. It really doesn't sound like that, does it? Joining me now is Alora Mukherjee, the director of the Immigrants' Rights Clinic at Columbia Law School and the attorney for 18-month-old Amalia's family. Alora, thank you so much for being here with us, and hopefully we were able to do justice to telling people the story. You managed to get a federal court to release Amalia and her family earlier this month. Can you tell us more about how she's doing and how her family's doing?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me on, Jen. So we needed to file a federal habeas petition to secure the release of baby Amalia and her parents. That should never have been necessary. There was no reason at all why baby Amalia and her parents were detained. There's no justification for it. They entered the United States lawfully. They did everything right. They showed up for all of their immigration check-ins. They complied with every aspect of the law, and they were taken into custody when they did exactly what they were supposed to do, which is show up for an immigration check-in. And after baby Amalia was hospitalized for 10 days, receiving specialized treatments, ICE officials should never have returned her to the Dilley facility, where she was exposed to many viruses in the congregate facility, where hundreds of children and families are being detained, and where there has been a measles outbreak, and where she was denied the medication that she was prescribed by the hospital, both the nebulizer and albuterol medication. And only after we filed a federal habeas petition did ICE officials release her and her parents. Luckily, she is now safe, she is recovering, and her family are doing better, but the trauma of this experience will be with them for a lifetime, especially for her parents. They were terrified that Amalia would die at the Dilley Detention Center, and she nearly died there.
It is a really harrowing story. I think any parent or even non-parent or grandparent or neighbor, it sticks with you, and it really should. I mean, this is not an isolated story, and I think that's what we tried to capture. But you have represented 50 children and parents detained at Dilley since Trump reopened the facility. Can you tell us more about what they're experiencing in there, what life is like inside Dilley?
Life inside Dilley is extremely difficult. It is a prison for children, for toddlers, for babies. Lights are on 24/7, which means children and families have a very difficult time sleeping. There is inadequate access to sufficient water. and parents are foregoing water and using their limited funds to buy bottles of water for children so that their children have enough to drink. There is insufficient access to nutritious food. Children and parents alike have told me how they found worms, bugs, and mold in their food. And as you've already highlighted, there is inadequate access to appropriate medical care. I've represented children ranging from age 1 through age 15 who've been detained at Dilley. Many of these children and families have been detained for prolonged periods of time. Under an interpretation of the Flores Settlement Agreement, which provides for basic minimum protections for kids in federal immigration custody, children should not be detained any longer than 20 days. But the Trump administration is regularly holding children in detention for far longer periods. I'm currently representing 3 children who've been in detention for nearly 140 days, about 7 times the lawful limit. They are ages 4, 12, and 13. The 12-year-old Camila just celebrated her 12-year-old birthday in prison last Thursday. She has done nothing wrong, and she and her siblings do not belong in prison at Dilley.
Laura Mukherjee, you do incredible work. I'm so grateful you could be here with us and share with people. It's important to hear what's happening and what we all need to keep our eyes wide open to. Thank you again.
Thank you.